All right, in the last video we looked at segment addition postulate. In this one we're going to look at midpoint. A midpoint divides a segment exactly into two equal halves. So if I have that B is the midpoint, I know that these two halves are equal. So if I want to find x, I will set these two expressions equal. So I'm going to go with the bigger x first, just so my x stays on the left. 6x minus 5 is going to equal the 3x minus 2. Move over here so I can have room to work. First thing I want to do is get all my x's together, so I'm going to subtract 3x on both sides. When I do that, I end up with 6x minus 3x is 3x minus 5 equals a negative 2. I'm going to add 5 on both sides. And when I do that, I get 3x equals 3. Divide by 3 on both sides, and x equals 3 divided by 3 is 1. So there's my value for x. It also says to find AB and BC and AC. So x we know equals 1. AB, if I plug a 1 in here, 3 times 1 minus 2. 3 times 1 is 3 minus 2. This side is 1. So AB equals 1. If I put it in here, 6 times 1 minus 5. 6 times 1 is 6 minus 5. 6 minus 5 is also 1, which makes sense because we said these two should be equal. And then I'm going to go back to that idea of segment addition to find the whole thing. If AB equals 1 and BC also equals 1, then that means the whole thing is 2 units long. Okay? So that's if you have just a segment with some expressions on it. We can also look at a coordinate plane. On a coordinate plane, your midpoint is found by averaging your x values and your y values. Okay, we're going to average our x's and our y's. So the midpoint of a segment with endpoints 3, 8, and 9, 4. So if I average my x's and my y's together, to average we just add them together and divide by 2. So when I look at my x values, let's switch colors here. When I look at my x values are 3 and 9. So if I add those together, 3 plus 9, and then divide that by 2, 3 plus 9 is 12, divided by 2 gives me a value of 6. Okay, for my y values, I'm going to have my y values are 8 and 4. So if I average those together, 8 plus 4 divided by 2, 8 plus 4 is 12, divided by 2 is also 6. So I end up with the point 6, 6 as my midpoint. Okay? So that is my midpoint for that. Here's another way we can kind of look at that. Another way I can look at that is I can line these up. So sometimes what I'll do is I will line them up 3, 8 and my 9, 4. And when I line them up, I can say what's going to be exactly in the middle. How far is it from the 3 to the 9? I have to increase by 6 total units. So if I only increase by half of that, if I increase only by 3 for both places, so I find exactly in the middle, I'm going to end up with 3 plus 3 is 6, and 6 plus 3 is 9. So 6 is exactly in the middle. Okay? Then if I do the same thing on this side, to get from 8 down to 4, I'm having to decrease 4 units. So I'm going to decrease half to get to the middle. I'm going to decrease by 2, half of the 4, and then by another 2. So 8 minus 2 is 6, and 6 minus 2 is 4. So 6 is exactly between the 8 and the 4. So I end up at the point 6, 6. Okay? On the next one, it says find the other endpoint of a segment if one endpoint is at 410 and the midpoint is at 76. So this one's different from this first one because the first one gave me both endpoints and said find the middle. And so I found the one that was right smack in the middle. 6 is exactly in the middle between 3 and 9. 8 is exactly, or 6 is exactly in the middle between 8 and 4. And again, these aren't always the same number. It just happened to work out that way for this one. Okay? This method that I used here works really well on a problem like this where you're looking for the other endpoint, but you know the midpoint. Okay? Because if I know one endpoint is at 410, and I know the middle is at 76, I can say, well, how much did I change to get to the middle? And then I just change that much again to get to the other end. How much did I change to get to the middle? And then I'm going to change that much again. So to get from 4 to 7, I have to increase by 3. So if I increase by another 3, I'm going to end up at 10. To get from 10 to 6, I'm having to decrease by 4. So if I decrease by another 4, I'm going to end up at 2. So my other endpoint is the point 10, 2. Okay? So just be careful. Sometimes they're looking for the midpoint. They've given you both the endpoints. Sometimes they've given you a midpoint and one endpoint, and they're looking for the other endpoint. Okay? In the next video, we will look at distance. Thank you for watching.